Hello, everybody. This week on Gas Mask Reader. Okay, not this week. I don't know why I said this week. On this episode of Gas Mask Reader, I am here to talk about Graceling by Kristen Kishore. I guess. I don't know. Okay, this is a young adult fantasy novel that I bought on the Kindle like 5 years ago when it was like 99 cents and apparently forgot about it until I was looking through for a decent fantasy novel to read this week and spotted it and read it. It's a young adult fantasy novel, so I'm a little bit older than the suggested audience, but what the heck. I like Harry Potter and lots of other stuff that's for the young adult, so I figure read it anyway. Because any really good young adult fantasy novel should be something that can be read by an adult as well as a teenager. Now, it's pretty. So far, from reading it, it was a pretty good book. Why don't I read a little bit from the first chapter?
In these dungeons, the darkness was complete, but Katza had a map in her mind, one that had so far proven correct, as all maps tended to do. Katza ran her hands along the cold walls and counted doors and passageways as she went, turning when it was time to turn, stopping finally before an opening that should contain a stairway leading down. She crouched and felt forward with her hands. There was a stone step, damp and slippery with moss, and another one below it. This was Ole's staircase, then. She only hoped that when he and Gideon followed her with their torches, they would see the moss slime, tread carefully, and not waken the dead by clattering headlong down the steps. Katza slunk down the stairway, one left turn and two right turns. She began to hear voices as she entered a corridor where the darkness flickered orange with the light of a torch set in the wall. Across from the torch was another corridor where, according to all, anywhere from 2 to 10 guards should be standing watch before a certain cell at the passageway's end. These guards were Katza's mission. It was for them that she had been sent first. Katza crept toward the light and the sound of laughter. She could stop and listen to get a better sense of how many she would face, but there was no time. She pulled her hood down low and swung around the corner. She almost tripped over her first 4 victims who were sitting on the floor across from each other, their backs against the wall, legs splayed, the air stinking with whatever strong drink they'd brought down here to pass the time of their watch. Katza kicked and struck at temples and necks, and the 4 men lay slumped together on the floor before an amazement had even registered in their eyes.
Yeah, it's got some good action, and it's one of those things with a strong female lead, which is always nice. If you care about that kind of thing. I mean, typically, I don't really care that much. I don't care if it's a strong female lead or a strong male lead, as long as the lead is strong and interesting, or, and not necessarily physically strong, which this one is, but not just some pathetic loser, basically, is not what I want. Unless it's some kind of comedy, then I guess the pathetic losers can be good, but I'm getting off track here. This is a review of this book, not general rambling. In the world of this, there are certain people called Gracelings who have graces, which is basically like a magical affinity for something. Katza, who you read in there, has what everyone believes to be a magical affinity for killing or possibly fighting. Though later on it's revealed that it's not actually that. I won't tell you exactly what it is, but And she's basically been used largely as the assassin and bully for her king, because this isn't a land where there's 7 little kingdoms together, and her king is basically a bully and likes to send her out to beat people up and occasionally kill them for him. And she also works for a secret organization that she actually founded called the Council, which is involved in doing things to counteract the general wickedness and corruptness of the various kings, because they're pretty much all corrupt except for there's 2 that are generally believed to be good. If they don't, because they're more isolated from the other 5. Anyway, at the beginning of the book, she is rescuing an old man who is the father of one of the kings that's believed to be good, who was kidnapped and by persons unknown and is in the dungeon of another king, and she's doing this for the council, not for her king. She rescues him, and then she meets Poe, who is another great fighter, who is the grandson of the person she rescued, and therefore a prince. And he's not actually a great fighter either, though it's believed that he is, and it's later revealed that he's not. In his case, it's more. In her case, it was a case of misidentification. In his case, it's a few people knew, but he was generally keeping it secret so it wouldn't be misused by others. And the general plot is that he was out looking for his missing grandfather, and once the grandfather is found, they're trying to figure out who kidnapped him, and eventually realize that one of the two kings, the one that's not his father, the king that is everyone thinks is good, isn't really. He's actually an evil person, and they want to go and try and figure out what is going on, and then a bunch more stuff happens, and I don't want to get too far because some of the stuff I've already gone over could probably be considered spoilers for some people. And I don't want to spoil anymore, but it's actually a very good book, which isn't surprising since looking at it, I see it was nominated for a whole bunch of awards because it was apparently the first, the author's first novel, and it, nominated for and actually won a few of them, I think. I don't know exactly what they all are. I didn't look that close. I was just checking it out on the library thing. And it's all like 27 award nominations or something. My goggles are fogging up so I can't see my notes. Basically, I really enjoyed this book. It's, a good fun read. I mean, there's a few problems here and there, which is expected for a first novel. Maybe it's a bit predictable in spots, I thought, especially with the romance angle, because you see that coming a mile away, that the strong woman who doesn't want to have anything to do with love because she thinks she's a monster is naturally going to fall in love with a strong man, because that's the way it always works in these kinds of things. Yeah, the dialogue wasn't always the best. It wasn't terrible, I thought, but the only real complaint I have is that it's part of a trilogy, and for some reason the publisher seems to have a ridiculous idea of what people should pay for ebooks. I mean, seriously, they charge $9.99 for I think it's the sequel's like 7 years old, it costs $9.99, and you can buy the freaking paperback from Amazon for $3 cheaper than that new. So, that is freaking stupid, but nothing against the book. That's against the publishers being morons. So, I will give the book 4 gas masks because I really liked it, and I really wish the sequels weren't so freaking expensive. I would read them if they were even half the price they are. I would recommend this to people who like fantasy and don't mind reading young adult stuff, or who are young adults. So that's it for now. I will hopefully have a review of I Am Providence by Nick Kamamotos done in the next day or two. I haven't been getting as much reading done as I usually do because I've been easily distracted lately. Until I get the review done, I'll keep reading the book, and you read your books, and we'll all be reading. Goodbye.
If you like this video, please click subscribe or watch some of my older videos. If you think the book I reviewed sounds interesting, buy a copy. There are always links to the Amazon store in the description for this book and any other books I mentioned. If you have any suggestions on other books I could read, or any other comments, queries, insults, or anything else you want to say, please feel free to mention it in the comments section.